Hi students, welcome to Easy Elimu Learning Simplified. My name is Mbithe, and in today's session we are going to learn about proverbs. Proverbs are a form of oral literature and they fall under the category of short forms. We will define proverbs. We will also have a look at a few features or characteristics of proverbs. And lastly, we will also have a look at a few examples of proverbs. So, as I have just said, proverbs fall under the category of oral literature called short forms. Short forms are not lengthy compared to other forms of oral literature. For example, oral narratives, they are quite long, but short forms are short. And then also short forms are performed within a short span of time. So there are three examples or categories of short forms. We have the proverbs, riddles, and tongue twisters. In this session, we are only looking at proverbs. So proverbs can be used for several things. They are used to give advice or express a general truth. When someone is talking to you and they want to advise you, maybe someone is telling you to be cautious about your health, they can tell you an apple a day keeps the doctor away, just to tell you to be mindful of your health, to feed your body well. So giving advice or expressing a general truth. They are also a mirror for society. Proverbs talk about what happens in our day-to-day lives. And lastly, they are used to caution or warn people. So maybe you see somebody disturbing another person, and the person that is being disturbed seems quiet, does not react, does not do anything. You can tell the person that is disturbing them, still waters run deep. So there you're giving caution. You're warning somebody that just because somebody is quiet does not mean that they cannot react. So still waters run deep. So these are just a few instances where proverbs are used in our day-to-day lives. So what are some characteristics of proverbs? Number one is shortness and brevity. So we said just from the name of their category, which is short forms, they are short. They are not lengthy compared to other forms of literature. They are short and they are brief. For example, still waters run deep. It is very short. It is very brief. So they utilize the fewest words possible to communicate a meaning. They have fixed wording, meaning that the same words have to be used every time a proverb is uttered. 100 years from now, the proverb "still waters run deep" will just remain the same. It doesn't change. The wording doesn't change. Number two, proverbs also have richness in meaning. So what does this mean? They communicate ideas more profoundly than common language does. So like that proverb that we used, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. That is a proverb. In normal language, maybe you can tell somebody, if you don't take care of your body, you will end up in hospital. Or if you don't eat fruits and vegetables, you may not be healthy. But when you say an apple a day keeps the doctor away, it has communicated the importance of taking care of your health and your body more deeply. They have a surface meaning and a deep meaning that communicates wisdom and truth. So anytime you see a proverb, there's a surface meaning. When you see it, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? That could be the meaning. That is the surface meaning. And then there's the deep meaning. Lastly, they give invaluable and well thought out insight into a situation or phenomenon. They give invaluable and well thought out insight into a situation or phenomenon. So just like that proverb, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. when you hear it, it is very well thought out and gives insight into a situation in a very different way as compared to normal language. Another characteristic of proverbs is that they use figurative language. Proverbs make use of figurative speech to communicate various meanings. Remember, we have said that proverbs have a deep meaning and a surface meaning. So they make use of the different figures of speech to communicate whatever meaning they are trying to pass. Proverbs communicate communities' philosophy of life. And lastly, proverbs communicate values that a community values or finds important. Another characteristic of proverbs is that they have two distinct parts. So a proverb, most of the time, it will be expressed as a statement. So this statement has two parts, what we are calling the distinct parts. The first one is the proposition, and the second one is the completion. So the proposition is said with the rising intonation, and the completion is said with the falling intonation. We will understand this further when we learn about intonation. And so when you're using a proverb, it is possible for the speaker to say the preposition and then the audience to say the completion. So for example, I can say an apple a day, and then you finish, keeps the doctor away. So an apple a day is the proposition, and then keeps the doctor away is the completion. Proverbs have specific places or situations or instances where they are used. Most of the time, they are used in serious speech or in formal situations. So it is very rare to find that you are talking to someone, maybe catching up with a friend, and then use a proverb. Most of the time, you use proverbs when you're making formal communication or in a setting that is formal. Proverbs communicate serious messages, and they are used to caution, advise, and criticize. And lastly, when you use proverbs properly, it is seen that as a sign of wisdom. So proverbs are used in most of the time only in a serious context or a serious situation. So what are some of the stylistic features or stylistic devices that are used in proverbs? First one is alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of the initial consonant sound in words. The second stylistic device is parallelism. This is creating a pattern of similarity of sound or length in the two parts of the proverb. The third stylistic device is ellipsis, and this is the deliberate omission of a word or words. Assonance, which is the repetition of the vowel sound within words. So assonance is the opposite of alliteration. And lastly is personification, and this is where an object that is not human or an inanimate object or idea is given human qualities and abilities. So there are very many examples of proverbs in the English language, Kiswahili language, even in our local languages. There are very many proverbs, but we're only going to look at just a few. Make hay while the sun shines. He who laughs last laughs best. Actions speak louder than words. Curiosity killed the cat. Out of sight, out of mind. A friend in need is a friend indeed. And lastly, practice makes perfect. So there are very many examples of proverbs. You can attempt to write as many proverbs as you know, and even go ahead and try to look at the meaning, the deeper meaning, the surface meaning. So that's it for Proverbs. I hope you have understood and you're now able to give a few examples of Proverbs. You're able to even define Proverbs and give characteristics of Proverbs. For further practice, you can have a look at the quiz. List 4 characteristics of Proverbs and list 4 functions of Proverbs. That's it for this session. Thank you for tuning in and see you in the next session.